great. And I love the fact that I'm even seeing more young people in the room. Now, let's talk a little bit about what Digilearns does. Tell us in maybe 30 seconds to a minute what Digilearns is about. And of course, I mean, we know that Digilearns democratizes access to digital education. That's education that does not require physical presence. So could you just maybe give us a story of how Digilearns started and your impact to date in like a minute? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Hi, everyone. So Digilearns began during the lockdown. And if we all can remember what happened during the lockdown, schools were closed, and for schools that were not able to have online classes, it was more like everyone was a dropout, if I would say. But at that point, everyone had to sit at home because of the pandemic. So Digilearns was birthed during that period just to see that everyone have access to education regardless of what the situation is primarily. So with the use of USSD and SMS-based system platform, right, we are able to serve people with educational content. Yeah, so we were able to mobilize with certified teachers to create educational content. So government approved educational content so that regardless of what the situation is, you can still go on with that. And a lot of times, or back then, it was primarily for terminal classes as well, because some people were preparing for exam when the COVID hit and all that happened, but learning still had to continue. So that was what birthed Digilearns.
All right, so what's been your impact to date in terms of the students and how are like your courses being delivered? You said USSD and text, right?
Yes.
So maybe you could explain in case maybe someone here is really interested to know more about what you do and how to have access to it.
All right, thank you for that question. So we serve the educational content through non-tech feature phones. And just for context, I had to come with an artifact. So when I mean non-tech, Nokia 3310-ish sort of thing. Yeah.
Gen Z can relate, but it's
Gen Z can relate. So I had to look for it just to describe what it looks like. I'm very sure you guys have not seen. So it's a privilege. All thanks to the organizers of this event. Yeah. I think they deserve a round of applause.
Awesome.
Yeah. So via the means of USSD code, you're able to follow the prompt and just learn based on your level of education.
All right. So moving to you, ma'am, Mrs. Lauretta. So Mrs. Lauretta is an author, and we were talking about a very interesting experience that led to the birth of her initiative, where it talks about how, people are able to, get access to quality education and also the right principles that actually ensure that people are learning and are learning properly. In a minute, it may be a long story, but please, could you just summarize and tell us what led to the journey of you building this initiative that you currently have, and tell us what the initiative is about for those in the room that don't have an idea as to what it is.
Right. Thank you very much. I would like to say a big thank you to the organizers of NIS. This is a very beautiful program. NIS, the second edition was my first, attendance. Like I came and I had to travel all the way from the Southeast to attend it, and I was not disappointed. And since then, I've been, keeping up with their events.
Can you celebrate NIS?
Please celebrate NIS. Celebrate the organizers. This is amazing. Okay, so talking about the initiative, it's called Makaros Initiative for Health and Humanitarian Development. It was actually founded in 2017, and Makaros has been on doing health, things on health. But fast forward to 2020, a lot happened in 2020. We had a new way of living from 2020, what we were not used to. So I will talk about what happened, the way it affected me as a parent. My background, by the way, is in economics and statistics. I used to be a banker for about 12 years, and I also worked in university administration. I'm a young university retiree. I worked for about 12 years. I left as a principal assistant registrar. So it's important you know this. When I'm talking about my story, you know where I'm coming from. In 2020, I had a 9-year-old, she's quite fast, that had to sit for the National Common Entrance exam. Now, this was when the lockdown had just been lifted and schools reopened, right? So exams had been shifted. Common entrance would take place ordinarily in July, normally in July, but now it was going to happen in December. And typically, a lot of children had not been in school, but some schools were doing online classes, and then when school opened, some schools went the extra mile, some parents as well. I went the extra mile for my child. I made sure, she had this, there's this book, this set of books that they use for common entrance preparation, and she had prepared. So I had taken her to the hall, the exam, venue, and handed over to a teacher. And I had to go, right? I told the teacher, I said, when they are done, please call me. So thereabouts, that was in the morning, so thereabout 3:34, the call came, exam was over, and I had to come get my daughter. And as soon as she got into the car, the first thing she said, "Mommy, you will not believe what happened." I said, "What happened?" She said, "There was exam malpractice in the hall." I said, "Exam malpractice? Primary school, exam malpractice." So this is me. You know about exam malpractice in secondary school. And by that time, I was working in a university, yeah? So you know about exam malpractice in the university, but primary school. I said, what happened? So she began this story. Some parents had left, just like I had left. And the exam started, they were ushered into the hall, the exam started. And she had started her exam. She was sitting in front. And all of a sudden, she said, there were some parents. It was engineered by parents. Okay, so there were some parents. They beckoned to the hall supervisor. And, they went to one corner of the hall. From the window, the hall supervisor came. And they had this discussion. Children didn't know what was happening. Well, I assume. And the hall was quiet, according to my daughter. Then all of a sudden, discussion was over. 10 minutes later, they started hearing number 1A, number 2B, number 3C, and it became a marketplace. So for a child that her first encounter with anything called exam malpractice was a spoken word rendition she did, where she had to work with her teacher to talk about what exam malpractice was. She did it so well. She was about 7 then, and she got a standing ovation for her performance. So she was now seeing it live, and she said, the place just became a market. And the children, they were shuffling feet, they were getting up, she couldn't believe it. And she said, what? But she continued her exam, according to her. And the man would, call the answer, and then the children would write. So the synchrony of heads, she was not going with the synchrony, like her head was calculate and write. So it was not going up and down like the normal, and she was sitting in front. And all of a sudden, this hall supervisor came to her and gave her a loud tap on her left hand. The hand that was on the table. And the child was startled. And he said to her, "Small girl, I've been observing you. Yeah, I'm calling out answers and you're not writing. Do you want to fail?" And it was so stern. He was really shouting at her. It was traumatic. But my daughter, she was very bold. She said, she looked him in the eye and said, "I am not going to fail. I am only trying to calculate the right answers and put it down. And what you're doing is wrong. It is called examination malpractice. I mean, she pushed the fear back to him. She said, and if you hit me again, I am going to report you to my daddy, my mommy, and my head teacher, and they will come after you. She said the man was startled. I mean, a 9-year-old versus a 50-something-year-old, you know. He knew what he was doing was wrong. And I could have taken that up easily. It's just to find out who was in charge of that venue. But I didn't. I didn't, because how many am I going to take up? You know, so when she told me that, it was like I could walk away, but I couldn't. I couldn't rest. I couldn't sleep. And I realized education has changed. The table, this is not how we went to school. This is not how we grew up. And if we are quiet, what is going to happen to these children? Children are like sponges. So we started organizing competitions with our NGO, sponsored by friends and family, because, I mean, corporate support was something, you know, we couldn't get immediately. You need to have people validate you that, I mean, you're credible. So you start with your own funds. And we started with this in the state where we are. We ran pilot competitions, and we're you know, like scaling up. But we didn't stop there. I had to write about the story. This is the book, Kika's Examination. And since May this year, we have been distributing to schools, funding done by friends and family as well. And we have been distributing for free. You know, it's a case of, because I know that children are truly like sponges. Some of the schools that we went to, and we gave them free copies, right? You know, it's written in a language that children can relate with. It's written, the pictures are such that a child, a 6-year-old, can draw it. Well, he understands, he knows the story. And it's a very interesting story, because it tells the end of the story. There was mass failure in the hall because the answers were wrong. Wow. But Kika passed, and a few children passed, but so many children failed. Now, why did they fail? They were smart, but everyone was doing it, and so they joined. That was part of the things I found out in going to schools. We've penetrated 5 states, you know, so far. We've done about 7 schools in Lagos, and then 5 states. But we need to scale up, and that's where we need corporate support, so that children in the common entrance class, you know, can get these copies for free, know the story, and be able to stand up for moral resilience and academic excellence.
Come on, put your hands together for that. That's really, really, really profound. One of the things that we don't tell ourselves is that we don't tell ourselves the truth. Many times we are afraid of when we see people, everyone going the wrong way, we want to join just because it's groupthink. So I know some of you here have experienced exam malpractice. Am I correct? Some of you have even participated, and 9 times out of 10 is because it was the easier route. Everybody was doing it, and we're being protected by those who claimed to be authority over you, right? So I know some of us have questions. We're going to give room for at least 1 or 2 questions. So I'm going to pick the first 2, but we are gradually going to start tapering down. So please, if you have those questions, we have the perfect people to answer. So please put your hands together for her again. Thank you very much for sharing your story and everything. So because we're trying to manage time, my question to you as an organization that basically is trying to bridge the gap between the haves and the have-nots when it comes to access to learning and education, how do you truly measure impact? How are you able to use data to understand those who are learning and track their progress even as they learn based on the means through which you are delivering those educational contents? We would love to know about that.
All right, great question. Thank you. It's good for us we aim to have a lot of users, right, on our platform. However, what excites us more when we track the whole record is the impact, the people that, when we get success stories, and also we see the people that are able to follow through with their learning till the end, because it's great for a teacher to see that, okay, you started the term, and at the end of the section, you were able to pass to the next class, So same for us, being able to track that this learner started and completed and finished that learning process. And yes, we have about 500,000 plus users at the moment.
That's really good. Amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah.
And about 50% of them have recorded close to 200% improvement in their studies. So that is what really excites us, and I feel that's the best thing to share instead. Yeah,
amazing. Please, let's put our hands together. I'm going to still ask you one more question, and
okay.
I believe that it's not all been tales of amazing things. There's been challenges. If you're trying to solve an educational problem, that's one challenge. Also, trying to solve an innovation problem is even a bigger challenge, right?
Sure.
You're dealing in an ecosystem that will stress you out. Talk to any entrepreneur in the room. They'll tell you, building a business, founding a startup, doing anything is very difficult. So we want to know some of your backstage challenges that the organization has gone through, and how were you able to overcome some of those challenges. I'll give you a typical example of one challenge, possibly access to information, vetting the teachers who are able to provide the content. I don't know what those challenges must have been for your organization, so maybe you could share that with us and how you overcame them, or how you are still trying to overcome them. That will really help us. Yeah.
All right, thank you. That's one question that we get to answer, or we look to seeing a solution to. Yeah. So in a setting like where we are, Africa, Nigeria to be specific, right? Getting the infrastructure is very expensive. Running an SMS USSD based platform is really on the high side. And that is one constraint, or like I say, one major limitation, because we can only do as much as we can do, what we can afford. Getting USSD codes is as expensive as you starting a small business. Wow. Do you get? Yeah. So we can only do as much as we can, but we are hoping and we are looking out for sponsorship, partnerships, and maybe lower cost in some way, platforms that can offer services to us at lower cost. Yeah, that's the way we have been able to scale through so far.
That's really good. Well done. Thank you very much. Please, let's appreciate her. Okay, coming back to the passionate Mrs. Lauretta. So I think my follow-up question basically is this: how can governments, institutions, schools, how do you think they can solve this problem that we are currently having? Whether we like it or not, it's not just a teacher problem. It's an environment problem, right? So what are some of the things that even those of us sitting in the room right now, what roles can we play to ensure that this thing changes, especially in our time and based on some of the things you're currently doing with your organization?
Thank you very much. That's a beautiful question. Okay, so imagine, right, that you are driving to maybe Lekki, right? For example, Lekki, and on that big billboard, okay, by Lekki Toll Gate, there's a billboard there, really large, and you see the face of a child. Now, that child is the one that came first in the National Common Entrance Exam. And his face is there, not just because he came first, but also because a corporate, an organization, I'm trying not to call names now, but I think I will. For example, Peak Milk, or Cadbury, or Nestle, Milo, puts his face there as their brand ambassador. Do you know what that would do to 8, 9, 10-year-olds in this country? I hear, when she talked about school and she asked a question, I've interviewed a lot of young people. I've done personal research work as a lone researcher. You hear children say these words: school na scam. Who has heard it? How did we get here as a society? How did we get here as a nation? School is not scam. I know it because I know I was not scammed. I went to school and I was well trained. I was taught integrity. My father was a lecturer. I was taught character. I was taught good morals. I was taught you are smart. Nobody can do it like you. So even if you tell me they said it's an open book exam, I won't even look at the book. It will be wasting my time. I will write from my head. Why? I believe in myself. I was taught you are the best. You are perfect. You are excellent. So those are the words that I pass on to children around me, my children and every other person I see. So just envisage this image, right? Imagine what the classmates, the siblings, other schools, they just put his name, maybe Musa Ayodele or something as his name. Winner, national common entrance exam, and it runs for 1 year. He's the brand ambassador. Oh my goodness. Every child will want to be like him. And then maybe they do a small top up. They say, we're going to pay his school fees. He's going to be on scholarship for this period. You have solved something. And is it a lot? I don't know, but I don't think it is. It's called CSR. So those are the ways that corporates can actually do something. Now, talk about startups. We have a lot of people that have done good products, but they may not be able to take it to the next level. So government provides enabling environment. Why can't we have, in our exam halls, CCTV camera? Hello? Has anybody thought about it? CCTV camera. And then hold the principals accountable. Let them know if exam malpractice happens in your school, we shut the school down. Parents, take it up. Do you know what exam malpractice is doing to children? It's killing them. It's a cancer. There are studies on it. Children that actually embark on exam malpractice, they have this, their mental health is affected. I know because I'm married to a family physician, a consultant family physician, and we've had talks about it. So it's beyond what you are seeing. It's beyond what we are seeing as a society. Then besides, what is exam malpractice actually? Exam malpractice is corruption in our schools. So you are telling the child, don't worry, you can cheat. The child that commits exam malpractice or is involved in exam malpractice, or the school that does it, you're telling the child it's okay to take ballot boxes when you are an adult and run. What kind of a society are we holding? So there are so many ways that organizations can actually sponsor, help, do something to curb what is happening right now. Technology. There are a lot of startups, like I said, people that would want to scale their work. Let's support them with CSR. Government provide enabling environment. And then for people like us, we've done things like this. We want to scale. We need support. For this book, for example, to go out there free to children so that they can learn and know if a child can do it, so can I. So that we'll have a generation of children that will stand up with the right character, integrity, be morally resilient, and be academically excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much. So before I move to the closing question, who has questions from the audience? I'm going to take one from this, one from this. Okay. So if you were going to give, don't worry, share the mic. Can someone help us with the microphones because it's powered down? Thank you. So if you're going to give a piece of advice, right, to an aspiring, I would say, EdTech founder, somebody who wants to solve an education problem in any capacity, whether they're using technology or not, and they're trying to solve on the basis of trying to ensure there's inclusivity, right, what would your advice be to them?
Thank you for that question. So one thing I deeply believe in is if you can see the problem, then there is every possibility that you have the solution to it. So since you have the solution to it, go for it. Get the proper schooling for it. By schooling, you don't necessarily have to go to the university. You don't have to read that, right? Technology has made it possible for us. So get the proper education for it. Ask questions. Look out for mentors. Look out for people that are already in the field. And start out. Because the sky is big enough for every star to shine. And as long as our country is a better place, as long as the world is a better place, you'll be so proud of yourself that you took that first step.
But something I got from, I said, if you can see the problem, the solution is within you. That's one thing. Problems attract solutions, all right? So I've been told to wrap up. So I just want us, please, let's keep our questions short. If not, I will cut in. So 30 seconds per question. And please, less than 30 seconds for the answer. Just straight to the point. Thank you. Or are we able to do that? Yes, please, very quickly. Very, very quickly. In fact, both at the same time. Ask question, and then you can give your answers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to wrap my head around how do you use USSD to teach us? Is it long? Kickers examination, very interesting. I'm thinking, can we get a video version or something? Because if I didn't come here, I wouldn't know. I had to prepare my own daughter before writing the examination that when you go out there, you're going to see something. I prepared that in advance, and it didn't come as a shock to her. So can we get something beyond the book or something? I'm thinking of showing my children in the church and something like that. Beyond, if you didn't bring the printed material, how else can I get access to this type of inspiring story?
Thank you very much. Awesome stuff. Thank you. So you can reach out to her after the session. So thank you. Well done, sir. All right. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My question is for Madam, and thank you for an insightful session. My question is, the book you wrote about Kika's examination is a wonderful, book. And my question is, what are you doing presently to partner with civil society organizations, NGOs, even international organizations that do support initiatives like this? Because it's something that is supposed to reach out to
more people,
students, kids out there, not just here. If I don't come here, I wouldn't know. So are there something online that's been done online to reach a wider audience so that people can, keep abreast, that they can know about your initiative, beyond the shores of Nigeria to even other continents and all over the world?
Okay, thank you very much. So, thank God for the platform. I'm very grateful to the organizers for the platform. What we have been doing, we started, us, just like somebody would say local, and we've been trying to create awareness. We have our social media handles, and we have been doing daily posts. We actually also organized a bigger, program in June, celebrating the International Day of the African Child, where we also formally launched the book. It held in Lagos, and it was televised, it was on the news and in the papers and all. But like you said, it's still, work in progress, creating awareness. But we have our website, Makaros Initiative, www.makarosinitiative.org, and then social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, and then we have a YouTube channel as well. So we would like to hear from you. We would like to collaborate with well-meaning individuals, developmental partners, the government. We've written to even Lagos State government asking them to add us, to make it a literary, read for the curriculum. And we're told come back in January. And we're looking for people that will, even UNICEF, if you have contacts, let us know. Because what we're doing, no child has paid for it. So far, we've been giving it for free, paid for by, if you are in my contact list, I will harass you. You will sponsor for us to give it to that child. That's what we've been doing. But scaling, we can't run it on personal notes. It needs to be like corporate social responsibility for people to support. Thank you very much.
So you see that you have very interesting conversations to have with them after now. Please ensure to meet them, get their numbers, and of course, please, all right.
All right, sir, to your question, we have a demo. We have a demo on YouTube. We don't have a YouTube platform. We have a demo on YouTube, on the founder's YouTube, Favor Chukwuedo. You can check that out. However, we only work with a network provider that is not represented here. So I'm trying not to sell any product. So the network provider that we work with is not represented here. And that's part of the constraint, because it's a lot getting to partner with a whole lot of them.
Thank you very much. With that, we've come to the end of this amazing panel session. Did you learn something? Was it fun? All right, please celebrate my amazing panelists. Please reach out to them, ensure to get their contacts. And it's been once again a privilege moderating this session. My name is Rosemond Phil-Othihiwa, and it's an honor to actually be at your service. Thank you.